Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we have a Reddit thread, right? This one has been getting a lot of traction, as you can see. 5 hours ago, almost 1,000 upvotes. And yeah, so it's pretty much talking about Bannerlord and missing features that were very good in Warband and the Viking Conquest DLC, right? I skimmed through it. He has some good points. He has some, he lists a lot, and it's a lot to talk about. So we're going to go through it. We're going to see pretty much everything that has to be said, and then I'm going to give my little opinion on it, and then I hope that you guys give your opinion in the comments, and, we can have a discussion about it. But yeah, let's go through it. Let's see what the list is all about, and we will go from there. Also, the link to this will be down below, so if you guys want to go check this out for yourself, check out, I think there's a lot of there's a lot of comments on it too. If you guys want to join the discussion on Reddit and all that stuff, the link to this, what do you call it, thread or post will be down below. Alright, let's do it. So, Bannerlord is missing many good features from Warband and Viking Conquest. True, that's a true statement. Bannerlord has made some great improvements to the Mount & Blade series in terms of graphics, field battles, modability, and overall polish, and I'm very thankful for Tailwords for that. Okay. But in terms of stuff to do and immersion, it actually feels heavily lacking compared to Mount & Blade Warband from 10 years ago and the Viking Conquest Reforged from 6 years ago. This isn't good for a sequel. True. To be fair, Bannerlord is only half of the way through early access, so missing content makes sense. But what's worrying is Tailward's complete silence on what the content the game will actually have at the end of early access. Okay. So this is a list of the Warband / Viking Conquest features Bannerlord doesn't have, which have not been mentioned on Tailworld's roadmap, meaning they may have forgotten about and aren't coming back unless people ask for them. Some of these features are small, but combined they make Warband and Viking Conquest more immersive and entertaining than just killing looters and map painting. Okay, so yeah, okay, it's a good argument. While as this statement right here, that we're halfway through early access. So I personally think early access will be pushed back. I know they said it's about a year, but all the stuff that's happened in the world currently and stuff of that nature and having to work from home and all of that, I'd say a year to 2 years. I'm pretty sure the dev stated somewhere in the forums that it's a year to 2 years, for the early access, which I think is fine. If you got to push it back to make sure you're done, there's no need to rush it. Patience is key, and people who want this game to succeed will have patience, right? But yeah, I kind of understand the statement to the point where Tailworlds, the devs have stated that right now they're working on stability and stuff of that nature, and once all that is done, we're gonna have content, right? But there hasn't been a real big deep dive into what that exact content is and features that are coming back from let's say like Warband or Viking Conquest, like stated here. So I kind of understand that. I kind of understand the concern, right? There's like how can I say this? So we know they're going to work on content, but we just don't know exactly what that is and if it's going to be drastically different or similar, right? So I do understand the concept. What else did they say over there? In terms of like polish, I think Mount & Blade Bannerlord does have good polish, even though I know there's a lot of unfinished features, a lot of unfinished things. There are FPS problems and problems like that. But in terms of like playing the game, it does feel more polished than Warband. That kind of makes sense, right? But content-wise, obviously, it is lacking. If we are being honest, right? So, all right, let's do it. So he splits it up into Warband missing features and then to Viking Conquest missing features, and that will be it. Okay, so let's do it. So Warband missing features, feast. Yes, this is a big thing that I think should have been in the game from the start. It's unfortunate that it's not, but hopefully this will be added, and I'm pretty sure this will be added. I think this is a huge thing, huge concept in the Mount & Blade, like, what would you call it, world in general, right? Like, that's just, I don't think this will be just tossed away. Parties, the player and AI lords could hold for other lords. Oh, parties. Not like player parties, but actual parties. The player and AI lords could hold for other lords. They help slow down factions who were conquering large parts of the map too quickly by giving them something to do other than war other than to be at war 24/7. They gave the player another way of gaining relation with lords and ladies. Gather them all in one place for convenient talking slash flirting and feasting. Had a related quest where you gathered food from all around the map to make your feast impress other lords. Feast made Calradia feel more like a real world and gave us the butter memes. You're damn right. But yeah, I agree with this. I feel like right now there is a lack of stuff to do other than, you know, conquest, and a lot of times you won't really find lords in any of their castles or their fiefs doing anything else. You'll just find them in the field, you know, getting ready for one battle then the next. So I do understand that. I think feasts need to come back, and I think also new features where, you know, there's more stuff to do in fiefs that does not require fighting. You know, it just requires other. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what you would do. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Feast, maybe some kind of like, you know, shoot, you could do like since the towns have been kind of all redone and stuff of that nature, you could do like a parade through the town. I know it sounds stupid, but that's just off the top of my head. But like more features where pretty much, you know, the lords aren't thinking about war, they're thinking about other things, because realistically speaking, you know, back then there were a lot of wars, don't get it wrong, there was a lot of conquest, but there were also times of peace where other stuff happened, if that kind of makes sense, you know what I mean? Times, and like, you know, there was meetings between even enemies, there was meetings between them and stuff of that nature. Now, next point, lore strategic dialogue. The AI can often be quite stupid while on campaign. In Warband, you could actually tell lords to go somewhere and attack or defend, which helped mitigate AI stupidity. This is being added. The devs have confirmed that this is being added, that we will have more, you know, more kind of like decision making when it comes to sending lords to go do either a quest or go do this or take that. That is being added. It's not there yet, but it is in the works from the devs, what's it called, statements. Now, manhunters, they spawn in Warband to hunt down bandits when their numbers started getting too high. In Bannerlord, the system could be tweaked, allowing the player to spend money to put a bounty on bandits in one area, in one of their villages, and manhunters would begin spawning there and hunting any threats to your village's prosperity, allowing you to go do more important and interesting things. Yes, you know, Manhunters, I don't think they should have been cut from the game. I don't know if they're cut forever. I don't know if they're going to be added back. We haven't had much news about Manhunters, but I did like the concept of Manhunters. Right now, there is a mod where it doesn't add Manhunters back. I'm pretty sure there is a mod that does add Manhunters back, but I'm talking about a different one where you can hire pretty much... You can hire troops to patrol a specific area and attack bandits. There is a mod like that out there. It's very highly reviewed. So if you do want that kind of thing like in your game, I think you have the option for it. But personally, I think in the base game, Manhunters should be a thing. It makes sense. It went really good in Warband, so yeah, good one. I think this should be added. Quests, exciting quests like the Prison Break quest where you rescued a lord from captivity and fought your way through the dungeons to freedom, or the tax collector quest where you gathered money from a town for a lord, which might result in a riot, and many more. Yes, so for Bannerlord, I haven't done really much of the quests. Well, no, I've tried most of them, like almost all of them. I've tried them, right? But I never really saw myself coming back to most of them. I feel like they're okay quests. It's just, it's not lacking. It's lacking kind of like the excitement, if that kind of makes sense, right? They're kind of basic, if that, you know. But some more in-depth quests and some exciting quests, like he said, the prisoner. Yeah, I think that could be good. I think the quests need to be tweaked more to more, you know, to make them a little bit more exciting. But I agree. Next, we have Handcrafted Companions. Listen, if I get any of these names wrong, just please. I've been getting these names wrong for years. When I played Warband, I got them names wrong too. I'm very bad at pronouncing names. So if I get them wrong, I don't want to hear it. Okay? I know I'm wrong. It's okay. Now, I'm actually going to call them by their first letter of their name so nobody can get on me, because you guys love getting on me in the comments. But alright, Handcraft Companions, like J and Y. There you go. These companions had an in-depth backstories and reactions to world locations, interacted with each other, and they had personalities you could get attached to. You could also make companions into vassals for your kingdom, which was useful if you had angered too many existing nobles. I think making companions into vassals should, yes, 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 and yes, and also another yes. This is a feature that needs to be added ASAP. I think that would be a great feature. Now, in terms of companions, right now, pretty much how companions work is random companions spawn in your map when the game starts, right? When you start your campaign, and over time they populate the world with random, kind of semi-random. I wouldn't even say random, but kind of like random. Pretty much their how can I explain this? Let me get my thoughts together. But pretty much their skills are based upon pretty much the name that they have. Like, right? Like, let's say, what are some of the names? We have, let's say his name is Jack the Swift, right? And the Swift has a certain skill set, right? Or Imari the Spice Vendor. He will also have a specific skill set because he's a spice vendor. So by the title, by their pretty much their last name is the skills that they will have. They don't have much really. Well, they do kind of have like a backstory, right? But after that, they really don't interact with you. The only time they do interact is, let's say they're like a fighter and you decide to retreat or something. They're gonna stop you and be like, "Hey, I don't really like that." But apart from that, that's usually the only thing that really happens. So I do understand the kind of like, you know, I think the current system of having random companions spawn, I think, is good. But if they had a couple of just like handcraft, like say it states right here, handcrafted companions, where they have their own custom like triggers and their own custom like story, I think that'd be very cool as well. We don't have to get rid of the current system. We can just add on to it with some custom companions, if that kind of makes sense, right? I think that would add a lot more, not depth, but kind of well, in a way depth, right? But it would make the gameplay a little bit more interesting. Now we have village improvement options, build manors, messenger posts, schools, etc. This allows the player to focus on building up a specific village to improve the strategic options in the area. Let me tell you something, man. So when I started playing Warband, I was a little kid. Not a little kid, kind of a teenager, right? And oh my goodness, let me tell you something. When they came to upgrading villages, I did not have the patience at all. It was such like a weird concept to me because like upgrading villages in Warband, it took forever and it usually was expensive, like expensive. And I just, oh man, but I enjoyed it. It was frustrating but enjoyable, right? And I think the current kind of like fief upgrade stuff, it doesn't really have to do with villages. It's mostly focused on castles and what do you call it? Castles and towns. And I don't know. I think villages should see some love to it as well, and something like this should be implemented again. Also, I think on a different topic, right? That doesn't have to do with this. I think upgrades should cost a lot more, and they should take a lot longer to make. I feel like halfway through the game, most castles and towns are fully upgraded. I think that's kind of I feel like, if you want to upgrade a town and you want to upgrade a town's walls, that takes, half a year. I know that sounds like crazy and that sounds like, oh, well, we don't want to make it too realistic, but it it would make it cool to actually, be late game and see, oh, this town's been struggling since the start, right? So many wars have ravaged this town, barely any upgrades have been done, stuff of that nature. I think would be very cool to see. Like at late game, you'll see a lot of towns that are basically abandoned, and some towns that have done really good for themselves because they've gotten their upgrades on time and without a lot of war. So yeah, I think overall, like when it comes to fief management and improvements and upgrades, I think that should be overhauled, in my opinion. Next, we have courtship. Ladies had likes and dislikes. You could learn poems suited to their personality from poems and hear gossip. There were romance quests rather than just trying to roll the correct RNG on a skill check. Damn right. Warband courtship was more like trying to build a relationship with a person. True. I think a lot of this stuff will be added later on. So kind of like how we stated over here, how you can tell lords to go places, the courtship. What in the world? Hold on, sorry. guess my alarm was set. My bad, guys. But like stuff like this where it's kind of, I want to say politics, but kind of like, you know, the talking and the relationship building. I think all this stuff will be great, like vastly improved after this whole, you know, period that we're in right now when it comes to early access, whereas like the stability changes and all of that. Once this time passes and all the content starts rolling in, I think this will have major overhauls, if that kind of makes sense, right? I think they just put a basic RNG check for now as like a placeholder, but I think that will be worked on in the future. But I do agree. Dueling lords, you could challenge a lord to a duel. Yeah, kind of same thing, right? Like I think that eventually this stuff will be added, just not right now. Now we got deserters on the map. These guys were way more interesting to fight than looters and bandits because they had better military grade equipment. I agree. I think this should also be a thing. Yeah, I think manhunters and deserters should definitely be in the game. I don't have much else to say about that. I think, yeah, they all had their spot in Warband, and I think they could have their spot in Bannerlord as well. Tournament armor / weapons. All fighters in tournaments received gear of equal quality in Warband and Bannerlord. Gear quality is variable, so you can get weapons in tournament that is almost completely useless against some armors. True, big true. And I don't like how, I feel like if you're gonna, what's it called? If we're gonna get random weapons, we should also get random armor. I don't understand the whole point of having our armor when we walk in, right? So we could have like high tier armor, and then we'll get a stick, you know, or one of the most basic pole arms in the game, right? I think both should be randomized. It would make it a lot more fun, a lot more interesting, because you know, spawning in a 4v4 when you have 3 peasants and they have 2 rulers and like 2 elite horsemen or whatever. Good luck. Good luck. You know, I think it should all be kind of randomized, and obviously the peasants will still, let's say even if everybody got complete garbage weapons and complete garbage armor, the peasants will still lose to the rulers and the elite army guys, right? Not army guys, the elite troops, because you know of their skills when it comes to fighting, right? But the fact that the peasants don't have the skills and they don't have the armor, it just sometimes tournaments can get kind of bland, right? So I think both things should be you know, kind of random. Books, you could buy these and read them to level skills. That would be a good gold sink and also be a realistic way of letting the player level skills that are difficult to do in the early game. For example, read a book about siege engines, done by your engineering skill, without having to start a whole siege. Yes, I agree with this. I think there should be a different way to level stuff, right? And if it does get abused, I think it should be able to get abused. I know that sounds kind of, you know, like, oh, we don't want something that's too abusive, but I think it would be a cool concept, you know, books and obviously like for engineering, maybe for medicine and stuff of that nature, you know, whether they make the books buyable or you can find them, let's say from raiding a hideout or something of that nature, it would be cool. I think it would be a cool thing to add. Lord personalities affecting behavior. For example, warlike lords would constantly start fights with other factions, and calculating lords would leave allies to fend for themselves in fights. Again, I think this falls under the courtship and kind of letting lords, like telling lords to do stuff. I think that will all be added, but I do agree. You know, we need more depth when it comes to different types of lords, different this, because right now it just seems like they all have the same basic behavior regardless, right? More battle maps. Bannerlord seriously lacks variety in field battle scenes. It does have significantly less, but personally, I don't see this as the biggest problem. But of course, more is better, right? So yeah, I kind of agree. You know, I really see a huge problem right now though with it. Permanent message log. The current message log resets after an event, leading you to sometimes wonder what the hell just happened. Agree. I think we should have a more permanent one. Follow option. You could auto follow Caravan. Yes. This option needs to come back, man, as soon as possible. Someone needs to make a mod. But auto following your warband was very good. I liked it. And Bannerlord, it's kind of weird in some quests, like the following the Caravan quest in Bannerlord, where it's just you're clicking so much because the Caravan's really fast. Plus, it just does, you know, a lot of turns and loops and all the other stuff, and it gets kind of frustrating. But if you had a follow Caravan button, you would be right behind it, right? So yeah, this should be added back. Actual redheads. Oh, good one. It's pretty so that Bannerlord has a whole Celtic faction, but no. Okay. Is red hair bugged? Okay, I guess this is kind of like a... Yeah, I guess. I don't know what to say about this one, but yeah, I guess if people really have a problem with it, then why not add some red hair, right? But alright, next one. Miscellaneous small things. Some lords being sexist would be less likely to give you fiefs, and they could insult you for being a woman. More food variety. I think we do need more food variety. Agree. Sargoth being in the north instead of the south. Greater variety in equipment between cultures. Right now the Azerai use a lot of Sturgian armor. Did not notice that, but okay. And last but not least, it's almost harvest season. These are all added to the immersion in Warband's medieval world. True. I think the Lord thing, the in-depth Lord thing, I think those are coming. Like I said before, with the personalities and the courtship and all that. More food variety, yes, I think so. I think food should also go rotten like it did in Warband. I think that should also be a thing. But yes, I agree. So that's pretty much all the Warband features. Let's move on to the Viking Conquest. So Viking Conquest Reforged. First, we have ship travel and ship battles. It's added an entire new dimension to the combat and travel in the world map. It would make infantry-focused factions more viable if they could quickly make a boat and travel by the river like they did in real life. In fact, it seemed like some Bannerlord factions like Sturgians already designed as if boats were in the game. Sturgian's territory is cut in half, making it difficult for them to efficiently move their forces around. I could not agree more. I think ships should make a comeback, definitely. Ambush attacks, they added further immersion. I've talked about this in previous videos that yeah, I think there should be an ambush mechanic. I don't know how they would implement it. It would be kind of overpowered, so there would have to be a lot of safeguards or a lot of, you know, let's say like there has to be like a certain level that you have to reach before you can do these. But yeah, in some form of way, I think this would be good. Hunting boar and deer. Yes, I thought this was like a fun little mini game. Yes. Definitely should be added. See, like this is all like kind of content that won't be added right now because obviously we're on the stability part of the early access. But when the content rolls in, I really hope to see a lot of these making a comeback, right? I really hope, and if they don't, unfortunately, I hope that some mod creators take it upon themselves and make these. And yeah, I think a lot of these really add to the, you know, immersion and just getting lost in the game. You know, I feel like that's what people want. Like whenever I played Warband, you would just get lost in the world sometimes. You know, you'd forget about the time. You know, I still do that with Bannerlord, right? But at the same time, it's just like in Warband, you just got lost with the time. Instead of thinking, oh, well, I got to get off in an hour, you're thinking, shoot, what the hell did that other person just say to me? Where should I go to do that? And how should I play this scenario to, you know, get this? Like, it was just so much, you know, you had to think. It was like you were in it, you know? You got immersed. I don't know how to explain it. I'm bad at explaining it. But if you know, you know. You got lost in the sauce. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Alright, next one. Mini games. Working as a farmer, miner, or lumberjack, which added a way of making money that wasn't just fighting or trading. Agree? I think that should be in the game. Yes. I think concepts... Look, so I think what makes games very cool, in my opinion, like especially sandbox games, is where you can, like, do different versions of things, right? Like right now in Bannerlord, the most successful thing you could do is take by force. But there's also, you can take by trading. You know, it's kind of basic. You know, you get to the top level and then you trade fiefs for dinars and stuff of that nature. There's a smithing path, you know. So I kind of like when games, like, they have a path they want players to go into, but there's also sideways that you can get to the end as well, right? And I think that the more sideways, the more things you can do on the side that can get you to the end game, I think is very cool, and it makes the game very complex and kind of just, you know, overall fun to play, right? That replayability, pretty much, right? So yeah, I think so. That should be good. That should be, of course, added. Setting camp in VC, your camp could provide basic fortification if you're attacking the field. Provide more. We've talked about camps. I think you should be able to set up camps. Yes. Dog companions, a doggo friend that can help in battle. This was teased in Bannerlord 5 years ago and unused in game files. I think this will make. Personally, I think this will make a comeback. I think this will make a comeback. I think it's just not coming back right now because, like I said, the stability part of the early access. But when content comes in, I think this will come back. I think this will be great for, you know. I don't know. Listen. I'm a cat person. I'm not gonna lie to you, right? But there's just something about dogs when it comes to people who own dogs. They just give up their life for it. You know what I mean? So whenever a game had a dog, have like dog companions in it, people go crazy. Like if you've what was it the game? Fallout 4, where the dog companion, right? People went crazy. I feel like adding the dog by itself added so much to like the hype of the game for like for a game like Fallout 4 and stuff. You know, yeah, dogs have a huge role to play in video games. You know, it's like one of those hidden gems, right? Alright, next we got robbing lords. You could take good equipment from captive lords for large relationship penalty. There is a mod for this. I think this should be in the game. I feel like if I defeat this guy and he is my prisoner, you know, there should be an option. You can let him go. You can take his stuff, and he could be, you know, in his what's it called? You know how like most like back in the days how it's kind of like pictured in movies and stuff like that. When someone gets taken prisoner, they're not all in their gear anymore. They're kind of like in these rags. I feel like you should be able to take their gear, leave them in the rags, right? Or you could chop. That's your choice, right? But I feel like that middle option of where you can take their gear is missing. And I think it should be in there because if you defeat somebody, I think you should be able to obviously be like, hey, I'm gonna need your helmet. You know what I mean? I feel like that should be a thing. Next, custom start, custom end goals. You could choose to start as a king noble to skip the early game grind. You could set similar victory goals such as making a certain amount of money and being a powerful warlord. This allows players to a more role-playing freedom by choosing their own path rather than current end game, which is always to become a lord, start a family, and own all the cities. I think yes. I think this is listen. This is severe. I don't know if it's underrated actually. I think a lot of people actually do want this. There was Skyrim mods and also Fallout mods that did this where pretty much you start off instead of starting in the original, you know, beginning location, whether it's on the wagon in Skyrim or in let's say someplace like Fallout New Vegas where you start out in Doc Mitchell's house, right? I think that, you know, having different starts, like I'm pretty sure for the Skyrim version you could start in I don't remember the mod exactly. It's been a while since I played, but you can start in like the frozen area. I forgot exactly what it's called. Sorry, my Skyrim knowledge isn't the best, but you can start in like a really tough area, right? Or you can start in a very easy area. You can start in a town, and all these different starts will give you different beginning gear and kind of different. Sometimes you'll be more leveled up than usual and stuff of that nature. And I think that does add a lot to replayability and things of that nature. Personally, I don't know if they're going to do that for the game, but hopefully some mod developers make a mod like that because those are very successful mods usually. You know, I did use the Fallout one a lot, where you can have different starts. Like you would start either in a shack or you would start somewhere in like a saloon somewhere. I think it's a very cool concept, and yeah, it adds a lot to a game, a lot. You know, but I think before this can be added, I think all this other stuff needs to be added as well. Because for you to have these type of custom starts and end goals, you need to have a lot of content, in the game, you know, because each single start and each single playthrough that you're trying to do should feel like a full game playthrough, if that kind of makes sense, right? There are obviously going to be times where it intersects with like what you would normally do, but like it should provide you with a good experience regardless, which takes a lot of content. But yeah, I agree with a lot of this. You know, I like the fact that he didn't just, you know, just hit the classic, oh, we've waited 10 years for this, you know, and we didn't get any of this. Like, how can they do this? He stated what he had to state. He stated how it would be good, you know, and he did it in a respectful manner. You know, I know it's very hard for people to be respectful nowadays, but I appreciate it. I appreciate that there's no name calling. There's no, you know, unnecessary negativity. It's to the point. It gets the job done, you know, and hopefully it has an effect. Obviously, it has an effect on the forums. It's doing very good. You know, I'll upvote this as well. But yeah, I'm gonna list this down below for you guys. The post, you guys can go check this out. Hopefully, you guys like this different type of video. Like I said before, if you are part of my Discord, I am gonna try to do these Let's Talk videos, kind of on positive subjects and not negativity. I did a couple videos on the negativity aspect, and I realized that's not what I want for my channel. I want to build up the game. I don't want to give voice to the people who are being negative for no reason, right? So unless there's like dev responses, well then, you know, obviously I cover dev responses. But yeah, I'm gonna try to keep them positive, informative, constructive criticism, and all of that. So yeah, like always, let me know what you guys think of the video, any concerns, anything like that, and like always, stay safe.